Here are modifications for the poor man's leg curl. So first, the poor man's leg curl, you're going to be driving that heel into the top of the bench or elevated surface as you elevate the hips. This is primarily a hamstring and glute exercise. If this is too challenging, you can bring the top leg down so it's supporting the other leg, and then you're going to drive up, still trying to drive as hard as you can through that heel, but the other foot is there to help support you. If you find this to still be too challenging, you can transition to the floor for a heel-focused glute bridge. Drive the heel into the ground as you extend to push up in the hip and feel this more in those hamstrings. If the single leg variation is too much, you can bring the other foot down and drive both heels into the ground as you extend in the hips. You can transition to a bench or an elevated surface if being flat on your back is uncomfortable. Bring the heels away from the hips so that the angle at the knee is greater than 90 degrees, and then drive the heels into the ground as you extend the hips up. You can either do 2 legs down or you can do a single leg variation, which will be slightly more challenging. So drive through the heel as you extend in the hips for this variation. Here is a seated variation to focus on the hamstrings if being on your back at all is really uncomfortable. Secure a band to a low surface, sit on a chair, and then try to bring your heels to your butt. If you don't have a squat rack, you can also tie a band to a kettlebell, throw it underneath a door frame, shut the door, and then pull on the band to ensure that the weight is all the way to the door, and then sit down on a chair. You can either do both legs where you bring the heels towards the butt to feel them in the hamstring, or you can transition to doing just a single leg variation. So it'll be just one leg that's pulling back. This will be slightly more challenging depending on the resistance of the band that you have.